All right, yep, just got back from my trip there in North Texas. Went to go see my mom and my family, and um, haven't seen her in a little bit. We've been up in New England for a little while, and so then went to see some friends. Um, Stretching my neck here, and played a little poker. Played lots of poker actually, and then so then came home. Um, I actually stayed up pretty late last night with a group in Discord. We stayed up to about 4, which is kind of wild. Having a good time, chopping it up. Um, with that said, didn't really. I made sure, even at the end of the conversation, that if I had said anything that should be public, these people have a lot of integrity, so I think that they're real. And I will tell you a couple things that I will get brought up in questions, I'm sure, and so we'll get to them. Um, but yeah, with regard to what we're just talking about, we're just laughing about. Um, actually, so I get an email like 24 hours before something's going to happen on the site, and that way I can be ready and be in a place to ensure that the handshake or switches over good. Um, but so whenever I did the original code for it to detonate, um, so to be clear, if there's ever a misspelled word, it's pretty likely just the fact that I just misspelled it. Okay, it's not a clue. Um, I mean, I can remember even being like 20 years old and calling my sister on the phone, and being like, "Hey, am I spelling that right? Like THAT? Am I spelling that right? Like TH?" Literally asking her that. She didn't even verify that. But anyway, so funny part was that it, the hand didn't go as planned. It went pretty close to plan, but it said detention instead of detonation, which is kind of funny. Like that's how you know I'm doing it. Because if you see a misspelled word, my apologies. Also, I want to be real clear, like with Candy's Hunt or Indy or whatever she goes by. That's really her own thing. Just was trying to bless her, and then whoever was going to go to the con, help them out. So if you have any questions with those about that hunt, you can reach out to her. I know that Cal Lasers is doing some stuff. Also, congratulations, for making it 9 years. Like I have a lot of respect for them just because like they just trudged through it. Like for years, there was like really nothing going on. And so kudos to them. Also, we had a side quest one on Discord, bounty quest actually. So I'll do that periodically, and they are like they're not really clues, but they definitely help you understand who I am. Excuse me. So you know, definitely congratulations to 203591 for finding an original CD. This CD, Bliss. She didn't send this one to me. I already have them. And actually, when I found this one, this was actually Josh had actually written this to his aunt. So I actually didn't realize that until I went digging and found it. So I need to get that back to her. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. So, it's been good so far, man. I think the hunt is going good. I definitely think that people were engaged. We now have had like 111,000 site visits, which is phenomenal. Like it's just pretty crazy. I can't imagine what's going to happen as these other side quests get kicked off and the whole thing starts becoming more and more public. I definitely want it to be organic. Um, Found a lot of good people through the community so far. Genuine people. You know, I'm not. I don't mind being like clicked up with people, like in a sense of like just chopping it up and talking and stuff. But I'm always available to almost anyone, as long as I'm not working or have whatever going on. I try to be readily available if they have questions. I try to answer them pretty quickly. I mean, not necessarily questions with regard to the weekly questions, and I mean sometimes, and then I'll bring it up. But yeah, definitely, if anybody asks me something, a question for them, I'm going to always try to answer it publicly. And yeah, so definitely the hunt's going good. I'm tired. Maybe you can tell that. I've stayed up late. Like, dude, I have stayed up so late the last 5 nights. It's kind of ridiculous. I've got to get my circadian rhythm back. Don't really stay up that late anymore. I don't play as much poker. I do play a lot of poker, but just not deep into the night, like into the next day type thing. So, yeah, so it's going good. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, so I'll just get right to these questions. Johnny Law asks, by answering some of these directional clues in relation to Paris, Pat Mays Lake, do you feel like a couple of states have been eliminated? No, I don't. I do want to say what I was trying to do, and I've said this in my life, I was trying to be like cryptic. I was getting guys emailing me from Arkansas, and this made me really realize how dangerous potentially Arkansas is. So I just wanted to okay, that's just too dangerous. These guys were going in caves. Like, dude, you can't get a smart car that close to a cave. Like, they thought, the geode, and it was inside of a geode, and their soul was just kind of. I get it. I mean, I'm glad people are involved and engaged in messaging and email, you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, it's not in a cave. Okay, it's not in a cave. It's not in a cave. Not in a cave. And then I realized Arkansas actually has a lot of dangerous areas, and I thought, well, there's still a lot to search, right? You know what I'm saying? Really. So I was trying to be cryptic with that. I failed in a little bit of regard, but it's fine. People are people, and they're going to microanalyze everything you say, which is good because that's what you do when you're trying to solve a puzzle, right? So Mystery Rise Jenny said, do you have any concerns of revealing too much information in Q&As? Not really. I mean, the whole point of this is that yeah, so sorry. My bookie was texting me. I was trying to make sure. Sorry about that. So no, yeah, definitely. No, I'm not worried about that. That's sort of part of the hunt. Is to answer these questions. I'm trying to be honest with everyone. Again, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not ever going to try to act like I'm a perfect person. In public forum, I'm never going to curse or use any foul language. But if I'm in private, I do. I mean, I talk like humans, like the Pat McAfee show talks about, because that's how real humans talk. But definitely in public forum, you won't ever see me doing that. But as far as the questions and answers go, no. I mean, I'm not really it's kind of a part of what I wanted to do originally. Now, I've decided to do it weekly versus monthly just because, I don't even know why I decided. I just felt like maybe that keeps people more up to date, Are you concerned the rock might be found earlier than first thought? I am, actually. The hunt is designed to be 15 years, but at the same time, what I'm more concerned about, Jenny, is people being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it isn't found yet. Duh. Well, it is designed to be a 15-year hunt. So, don't, I think people they want immediate gratification always, boom, 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 boom. Well, guys, that's kind of why I integrated the side quest inside of the hunt, so that there was always something for someone to win. You know what I mean? Or a gift for people to get, so that so that it wouldn't be boring, right? And as we go through these levels, you'll find out the things that took up my time, right? As a kid, I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of my life doing. Like the current puzzle. You know, it's spent hours, days, even with that peg solitaire. I love hot tea. So if anybody ever want to give me something, you can give me hot tea. Love it. What if I miss finding some of the clues and or Easter eggs on the initial website, side quest, or wherever else? Can I still find the treasure? Yeah. So I was going to originally detonate. Oh, again, detention. Oh man. So yeah. So I had to actually. What I didn't say earlier is I had to force. I went ahead and forced the switch over because one guy that was in the Discord with us, his was kind of flickering the website. So I had done something wrong on the back end of the code, and I just went ahead and just forced it about 30 minutes too early last night. And then I had written detention instead of detonation, which is kind of funny. So again, if it's a misspelled word, it's most likely not a clue, just FYI. Numbers are always clues, but misspelled words, no. Excuse me. But with regard to what I was going to do originally, I was thinking, all right, well, I'll explode the levels, and then they won't be available. And then as this has kind of progressed, and I'm evolving with the hunt, I thought, well, I don't really want the Wayback Machine to cache my stuff. Because like I just don't want them to. It's not theirs. It's mine. But I am going to archive it on TreasureQuestSecrets.com. So every level will have its archive page. I just went ahead on level 1 since they decided to archive the website. There's a link to their page, and you can still see level 1. So that won't be a concern. But I also had this expectation that the community would work together as an organism to collect information and to share information, right? So I still expect people to do that. She says, am I at a disadvantage without these or any in the future? No, so I think that just kind of answered that there, Jenny. We're going to archive the levels and the games. I will still do the fun, quote unquote, timer, which is supposed to be random. I'm trying to do a lot of this random so that, I do get an email 24 hours before it's supposed to happen. Just so, again, I can make sure that it transitions proper. So that shouldn't be a problem going forward at all. NYM77. If the actual treasure was found, would you still continue the side quest? Well, if there is a side quest going on when it gets found, absolutely. Will I continue the games? I'm debating. Did you attend church camp when you were young? Have you ever been a counselor? Never been a counselor. I'm definitely too much of a sinner. I've gone through different phases of my life, with my Christianity and my belief, and my walk. I definitely, I have probably 6 or 7 calls a week with people, who, have life advice or questions like that. But as far as like a church counselor, no, I don't. I think that should be dedicated to someone who can, give their whole heart to that. And I have a lot of appreciation for those guys, As far as church camp goes, I went a few times. It was actually a pretty horrible experience for me. I can tell you one time. So I don't have all the equipment in my head. I don't have like this much of a soft palate, and so I get get irritated and allergies real easy. But, and I've always been a big old boy, so, these kids, they thought it'd be funny. I'm borrowing my stepdad, who already doesn't like me. Like, I mean, doesn't like is the wrong word. Like, he just didn't get me because, like, I would rather sit in my room drawing and painting, as a kid than, hunting, or doing, those type things, right? But dude, they like took shaving cream and like filled the sleeping bag full of it. Yeah, so because of that, because of the smell, even from that shaving cream, I couldn't even use the bag anymore. So, and then of course the bag was basically ruined, and it wasn't even my bag. I mean, my stepdad was letting me borrow it. So, definitely church camp can be one of those situations that are ripe for bullying. I don't think that's ever been really addressed enough. I've tried to address it with like youth pastors that I connect with through, promoting music. It's actually something I talk about a lot with them because it's real easy in a youth group to pick on somebody, and I definitely experienced a lot of that, growing up, being this, chubby deaf kid, So no, yeah, but and did I go? Yeah, just not a lot of fun. Quarter violin. Did you ever participate in the Boy Scouts? No, I didn't. My dad did. My biological dad did. He died. He OD'd at 67. He was a pipeliner, and he's been gone now about 12, 13 years. That's a hard life, and that's just who he was. He was a pipeliner. But he was an Eagle Scout. He went to the White House. You know, very decorated Boy Scout he was. But I was never in the Boy Scouts, Okie Man. This guy. Dude, Okie Man. I appreciate your perseverance here, actually. If I'm at the row of inns that you are referring to, and I want to leave, do I have to turn around and drive away from there the same way out that I took to get to them? Or can I continue past them and keep going in my car a different way out? This question seems simple enough to answer. And then he goes on and says, how many rows of it will there be if all rows are full? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 or more. I will say that there are rows of inns the rows of inns I'm referring to may not be singular. Yeah. It's not a singular instance. And because of that, I've been pretty clear it's very multi-directional to get to the trove. Is there a picnic table within 20 yards of the vents that mark a quiet end? So 20 yards to 60 feet. I mean, there's definitely rest areas in the area. I don't know how close they are, Okie Man. Like, honestly, I don't know how close. So you say 20 yards. I'm not really, I haven't walked it off. From the exact spot where the geode is at, could I walk to the water beneath the leaves you speak of in the riddle and swim across it till I was on the other side and be in a different state? Definitely never going to be in a different state, and you could always walk across it. The water beneath the leaves closest to the geode, which direction is it flowing, or does it not flow at all? Well, it flows sometimes, and I'm not really certain what direction it flows in, if I'm being honest. And once you're there, you'll know what I mean by that. Like, you'll understand, like, how it could, like, water finds its level, always. Froggy, the body of water that Bryce Harper, rest in peace, Phillies, boom, can't throw a baseball over. Are there aspects of its shoreline that are similar to the shoreline of Pat Mays Lake? I'd say almost identical. Professor, do the poem clues lead us through all 4 of the states? No, they do not. And again, I actually thought it was kind of obvious that it was in Arkansas. I've actually lived in Arkansas for a time. I didn't put it on the live places. I don't know. I thought I was kind of it's not. I wanted 4 states because it balances the game. But then when these guys were sending me this stuff about their cave solve, and I'm just like, holy crap, there are a lot of caves in Arkansas, and people are going to get hurt. And, that is the absolute last thing that I want to happen to somebody. So no, we're not going to lead us through all 4 states. Island Hopper, does 1618 have a direct type use? Question mark. And may we need to modify the order? Well, Island Hopper, that is definitely for you to figure out. And if you figure it out and you make it public, I'll share it and confirm it, right? Dukes of Hazzard. Should I be wearing a blaze orange for safety? So what he's referring to, for people who aren't aware, in the South, people do hunt. The Trove is on public land. I'm not aware of a lot of hunting activity that goes on where it's at, but that doesn't mean that there's not, right? And anytime that you're on the road, you're on a bike, anything, like you're out in public or potentially, somewhere where somebody could be discharging a firearm to hunt, you should definitely have an orange blazer on, or like a real bright pink one, or, whatever your choice is, as a person. So that's a very good point he brings up, and I want to emphasize that. Like, always take your safety first and foremost. Always, okay? He says, in 2015, how many people do you estimate passed within 400 feet of the geolocation? I don't know that answer. I know that I looked it up over the last few years, and there was over 400,000 people. So, does the geo get wet from nature or from some man-made occurrence? It always, when it gets wet, should be just nature. Scott Farrakis. Is the body of water that the geode is near shaped like a donut or shaped more like a honey bun? It doesn't really have a defined shape like that, Scott. So, I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't have a defined shape like that. Trezor Gal. When I go look for the geode, what fishing lures and setup do you recommend for the body of water that the geode is near? I love to fish both salt and fresh. Well, there, Trezor Gal, good question. I love saltwater fishing more than freshwater, just because, I actually love that feeling of being out there, can't see the shore, I don't mind bait fishing and stuff, it's fun, but I definitely like the open water, especially with a good captain. With regard to the type of fish that are in the body of water, now realize that, there could be other bodies of water, not just one. I'll be clear about that. But for sure, crappie, sand bass, striper, smallmouth, largemouth bass. What is the deepest possible depth of the body of water the geode is near? I don't know that answer. So, I'd say there's probably parts of it that are real deep. The dam in the poem, is there fishing access on it or directly below it by the foot? Or is the fishing access or is the only fishing access near the dam by boat only? No, you can definitely fish the spillway. You said there was a paid way to get to the geode and a freeway. Does that freeway require a boat, or can I get there for free by foot or car? You can get there by foot or car for free. Excuse me. But what she's asking is like, there are definitely some lakes where there are boat ramps that you pay for, and then you can drive your boat across the lake to another boat ramp that doesn't have a fee. And a lot of these ramps, have obviously you literally tie off your boat and walk to shore. So that's what she's meaning there. But you can get there by car or foot for free, for sure. I just don't know what direction you're coming. So, but there are definitely areas. Almost every public thing has some area associated with a fee. So Sage, how far were you from the bicyclist when he saw you? So, I'd say, man, like, I don't know, trying to gauge it. I'd say less than 50 feet. Less than. Like, that's pretty close. Like, it's not that. And he was honest. Oh, yeah. And so I want to also update on the bicycle thing. So, I did a little research and went and looked it up. I think what he was on was like more of a mountain bike, but it was like an e-mountain bike. Okay. That's why I thought it was some sort of modification. In addition, was he on asphalt, gravel, or dirt? I'm just not going to answer that. They would give way too much away. So I'm not going to answer that question. I hate punting, and I'm sorry I'm punting that Sage, but I just can't answer that one. It gives way too much away. You mentioned that the rock gets wet. Aside from dew, rain, or fog, is it wet all the time or just sometimes seasonally? It's sometimes seasonally, right? Again, there was a public, someone made one of the static images public, 4 seasons. And it is definitely in a place that gets 4 seasons. Mr. Mojo Rising. That's a pretty cool name, brother. How likely is it that someone not part of the hunt finds the geo? Actually, more likely than we'd probably all like. They haven't yet. Like a random person out for a walk in that area. So yeah, that's likely. I mean, it's like I just said, it's more likely than what I probably would like. But not like. So I thought in my mind, okay, well, what am I gonna do? Like somebody in the general public finds this thing. Because they're gonna pick it up and be like, oh, it says open, So obviously, curious, inquiring minds want to know, right? So they're gonna open it, they're gonna take it and open it. Literally has the direction open on it, right? But I've given this a lot of thought just because, you can't, because it is in a public area. I can't stop somebody from doing that, right? And be like, oh no, you can't have that because. That's a part of something else. Make sure I'm recording. So, I think with the hunt, as time goes on, people, when they get closer and closer and closer, they'll start emailing more. And then I just have this feeling they'll email, they'll get, either that or they'll figure out through these question and answer sessions, and then they'll kind of disappear, and then they might go boots on the ground, they might come back with more questions and answers. So they're going to be a known person, right? But a person in the general public is going to find it. I mean, there is a number, and, there's a way to contact inside of the Trove. Just so that, like I said, there is more than just the currencies that are in there, right? That go along with the find. So that person's probably going to be like, hey man, I actually just found this. Did you lose this? I mean, I've had all these things go through my mind, what a general person in the general public, when they find the said geo, is going to think. So, I'm going to know if they're a treasure hunter or not. So now I'm in this weird kind of moment of like, okay, well, what do I do? I mean, it's theirs. I mean, I'm not going to stop them from having it. Yeah, but I mean, it's been there a while, so I don't know if anybody's going to anyways, right? Um, K-Pro. Are we allowed to use AI? I know this is from a non-Discord user asking through via K-Pro. Are we allowed to use AI? Question mark. I know we are not allowed to use AI, but I don't know a lot about ciphers. Is it okay to understand ciphers and use AI to know that? Like, I don't know what a visionary. It's really hard for me to say the word. I know the word. It's hard for me to say. Ciphers is and what to use AI and Google to understand this more. I don't want to break the rules. So I'm real clear on this. Like, I do think that some of like Justin's rules of his hunt have kind of like been extrapolated to mine. I don't personally see a way for anybody to stop you from using AI per se. I don't even know if that's legal, just the way that there's organizations are set up. Like you just have, there's no legal, like you can't take someone's copyrighted measure. You can't like, you can't, like, I can't take someone's copyrighted stuff and publish it, to it. I mean, I don't like, and so like right now, even with the AI companies, they're quote unquote getting in trouble, but not really getting in trouble because they took all this copyrighted information and that's what they fed into the machines for learning, right? So, like, there's just, like, they're right now, as it stands, there's nothing stopping anyone from using AI to really do anything. Now, I can't take someone's copyrighted stuff and then go profit from that. Can I take it? And so that could be potentially extrapolated to a treasure hunt. But with regard to that, like anything that's out in public, the public domain, that's, anywhere where the public has free access to, technically, it's theirs. It's the public's. It's no longer yours. I mean, if you leave it there for the public to find, then it's now public domain, So, but, that we're in this really weird phase of AI. But I don't care if people use AI. I think it's just, people are going to be using that tool forever from here on out. So I'm not opposed to it. Out of time. in three riddles, rock location 1 and 2, did you place any hidden ciphers to the code within any of all the riddles? Well, out of time, that's for you to figure out. And if you make it public, then, I will share more to the public. NYM777. Pertaining to the 400,000, are these all different kinds of people, or are many of them the same people? They're all different kinds of people, but they're definitely the same people that would be in the area working. Mike Hall. In the second version of the riddle, you said the following alliteration. Where winding waters whisper low. That's pretty good. Were these words selected to describe the nature of the water near the rock's location? So, Mike, I can't really answer that with a direct yes or no, because I think it gives away too much. But if you figure it out and you make it public, like I was just telling Out of Time, I'll definitely address it. Johnny Law. Is the movie Side Quest really Side Quest 1? And if so, why is it not unlocked on Treasure.quest? It was unlocked on Treasure.quest, Johnny. It's just in the footer. On this level, there won't be any listeners, if you will. That's what it's called when you type something in the keyboard within the code. To pop up any Easter eggs within the site, just because that's just not how this level was designed. So those side quests, bosses, if you will, they'll show up. They'll be unlocked on the footer. So yes, absolutely. And on the movie quest thing, I've definitely gotten a lot of interest, which I thought was cool. I've gotten like 11 forms requested. I think like 3 of them not real. I think it's just people being curious about, just trying to figure it out, right? And speaking of curiosity, something else that we were talking about last night in the Discord chat was like, I did have an old Twitter, and then I did the TikToks with Jotham and like Remo and stuff. Like, again, he was like, I don't know, 14, 13, 14. I'm trying to relate with my son at that point. But that old Twitter actually got hacked. And, Twitter to this day, it's a horrible company. Like, X is it's just it's a horrible company. It's a horrible company. It's not, number one, I'm not on social media at all, except here on YouTube. Because this is the best forum place for me to talk to the public. And, you can moderate comments a little better. And, you don't, it's not like the troll, it's not a real troll central, kind of like what, Twitter is. But yeah, even back then, so like, dude, so we're talking maybe like 2012, like it got compromised, and they never had an answer. They never had it. So then I started using Facebook more, and then I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to be on Facebook, because then I started realizing that, they just take all of our data, and they're like just data mining us, right? They're totally data scraping all of us. And I was like, I'm not going to be on here either. I do have pages on there that, for, business stuff, but, like, they don't do enough. Like, how is it that, number one, I've let you know that this has been compromised, and, people are just mean. Like, they're just evil sometimes, and they just do bad things, and it's just, like, whatever. I mean, so I'm not on any social media at all. I don't know how much of a footprint is actually really out there, even old stuff. I don't really care. I don't have anything to be ashamed of. If there's something out there that's, negative or whatever, I mean, okay, well, maybe I made a mistake. Or it literally, very possibly, if it's associated with that old Twitter, it's like, I had an ex-friend who, long story short, was very, like, just a bad person. Ended up being a bad person. Ended up being not somebody I needed in my life at all. And so when I kind of broke it off with them, like, they had been to my home. They had been on my laptop. They took my stuff. I almost said a cuss word there, so I stopped myself. They took my stuff, and they compromised my Scottrade account. They compromised, at the time I had Twitter, when it was Twitter. Just, and like, it was bad. It just was bad. It's just, people are bad sometimes. Like, they're just evil sometimes, like, don't be mean. Don't be evil. Like, just go do something good, right? Dude, like yesterday, literally, we go to, get home, and, hanging out with the wife, and she needs gas for her car or whatever. So, I follow her because I needed to get something from the store too. Anyway, so we pull up to this gas thing, and like, I get out of the car, and like, I walk over to where the gas pump is, because it's like one of these, Walmart things. And this guy is like and he's about to pull off, right? He's just about to pull off. And he just sits there. Like, as I'm standing there, like, I'm being patient. I'm standing behind the pump, just waiting for the pump to, open up so I can wave Elizabeth over. The guy just sits there. And then he gets out and goes, oh, I'm going to get diesel for this thing. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, cool. I thought you were leaving, no problem. So Elizabeth's like, hey, let's just go to this other gas station, whatever. Well, sure enough, like, the dude just drives off. Like, we get in our, as we're leaving the parking lot, the guy just drives off. He doesn't even get diesel. He was just lying. He was just like, I was just like, why? Like, I was like, got to the red light with him, and I'm like, looked at him, I'm like, why even do that? Why even be a butthole like that? Like, so anyways, people do things sometimes that just don't make any sense. They just want to be mean-hearted. They just want to be, they just want to be mean, right? And maybe, Elizabeth drives a very flashy car, or maybe he was just like, screw y'all or something. Who knows? I mean, you just don't know why people do things sometimes. I guess is what I'm saying, right? But, so yeah, so the movie quest is it. I'm gonna get back on the questions. I got too much of a tangent there. Shorty Cat, is Silent Flight a part of the main troll riddle solve? I think she might be conflating something. Like, I don't know. I might get back to that, Shorty Cat. Kid Lush asks, who is Pastor? I'm not gonna say that name. That's not an actual pastor. There is a pastor in that area with that name, but I'm not going to make his name public. Justin, you said that there were 2 ways to go to the Trove, one paid way and one free way. Is the one with a row of VINs the paid way or the free way or both? And pertaining to the row of VINs, are they identifiable even if there's no VINs present? Okay, so I kind of answered that with Okies in the sense of like you can go multiple directions to get there. But I think the key part of your question here, and pertaining to the row of VINs, are they identifiable even if there are no VINs present? I would say like you would know like a VIN is supposed to be there. When stated, you can park a Prius, smart car, within 400 feet of the Trove, is that in a designated parking area with lined out spots or just a place people have been known to park in the past, but not necessarily in rows, but possibly or both. Where you can access it via a smart car within 400 feet is not a designated parking spot. Is where you park the Prius, again, smart car, that's within 400 feet of the Trove in rows of VINs, the same place? No. Growing up in Paris, what memories are you most fond of? Well, actually, like as a kid, not a lot, because again, like, I mean, it was a hard time growing up, like just being weird and, deaf and blind, like all the surgeries and stuff that I went through and being sick all the time. It's really hard to assimilate, with people at that point when you're a kid. But definitely one of my fondest memories was we got like right out of high school, a few of us guys, a couple guys. It was supposed to be just me and another guy. And then all of a sudden it turned into 4 dudes. We rented this trailer. I had rented this trailer in a little trailer park there in Paris, right behind the Walmart. And we had a very carnal, good time actually. Like from, basically May to like, December. Definitely some good times there. Very fond times hanging out with those guys. And actually, one of the girls that we hung out with a lot, she just passed away 2 years ago, cancer at 43 years old. Yeah, I went to prom with her twice. Definitely, yeah, it was tough. So yeah, so definitely had some fond memories with those guys, man. Like, good times, bro. So, but, and then he continues. If I was a boy and able to mountain bike, the trails of Pat Mays Lake would be heaven! Exclamation point. As a child, which did you enjoy most? Cycling, fishing, or bird watching? I'd probably say cycling. I did fish some with my grandpa and my cousins. and my uncle. But again, I just wasn't equipped, like, at that point in my life to really enjoy fishing. But I did have a bicycle that big brothers and big sisters gave me. Um, my dad ditched us when I was like 6. And, so I have a single mom and my sister. And, we didn't have money. My uncle had gotten me a bicycle, and my mom told me, she's like, you can't leave that on the porch. You got to bring it inside. And one night I left it on the porch, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, right, at this point. And somebody ended up still stealing that daggone bike. So then big brothers and big sisters got me a bike, and it's about 10 times too big for me, but I rode that thing everywhere I could, so definitely cycling. We definitely like bird watching, the wife and I. We've done falconry a few times, but that's something that I've kind of gotten into as I gotten older, as I learned to appreciate nature more. Then says, when you say people drive down the path the mountain biker was on sometimes, did you mean not civilians, but maybe maintenance members or people that work for said place? Yeah, so where he was at was definitely not something that was made to be, wasn't really designed for traffic. Okay. And so if so, is there a gate in place to stop others from just driving down the path, or a set of rocks used as a barricade to prevent people from driving down it? No gate. I will say that the path that he was on, the trajectory he was going, I do know that they're like down it. At some places, they've set big rocks so that nothing bigger than a golf cart can get through, or a gator. It's probably the better word. Would picking up a mountain bike to utilize in the hunt make it easier or harder potentially? I mean, look. If you need to convince the wife that you need a new mountain bike, hey, go after it. Yeah. I don't think it's going to make it either way. That depends on your level of activity, right? At this point in my life, I wouldn't want to bike there, but because you don't have to. So, easier or harder? I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to answer because, thinking about it, easier or harder? I don't know, man. In some ways, it might be easier. In some way, actually thinking about it, it might actually be easier in some ways. That's a really good question. Wildcat. I just started on Trezor Quest site tonight. Finished the 6 stages. How do we get to level 2? When you are on level 2 there, Wildcat, that was level 2.1. The site did change. I think I covered this. If I didn't, again, any misspelled words are not clues. Numbers are always going to be clues, but misspelled words aren't. Now, numbers might equal words, but they're not going to be misspelled. But as far as the UI and what you see, sometimes I do mess up. Like last night, like I said, I had to force detonate the site because it had just a couple of glitches, and also it said detention and not detonate, which I mean, misspelled words are not clues, just so you know. And then there was one other thing in here that I saw. If there's any questions that we missed, I know that people have been asking questions since Friday, but I'm going to let Kate just kind of aggregate those for Friday. I do see Billie Jean asked, do you have any good stories you are willing to share about the actual geode? Is the geode native to where it currently is placed, or it is one you found somewhere else? So I'm a rock hound, sort of. I call myself a rock hound. I mean, I like it, right? I mean, I get to do it a few times a year. Whenever I was smaller, as a kid, I was outside a lot, and I remember finding my first geode was actually on our land there, my parents owned. Um, Speaking of that, with land, like there's a couple of parcels that are still technically in our names, but pretty much everything else is associated with a trust or something else. So I mean, I know some people are like trying to find every little clue they can. Again, it is on a public place. It has nothing to do with our land. It has nothing to do with any of my associates back home or any other place I've lived, because as we move we pick up friends, and we do engage in business, but it has nothing to do with any of that, right? So it's not, don't bug my family, don't bug anybody that is associated with me, because they have no idea where it's at, and it's not on anybody's land. It's on public land. So it's no use to you to try to figure out what we own, because it is not on anything that we own or are associated with via business. Okay, period, paragraph. It's not. Okay. With that said, I did find this little geode. There's one of the first ones I ever found, and it was like just it was only about like this big. It wasn't very big. It was like this big, maybe. Like I don't even know, maybe that big. And I remember I thought, man, this is a cool rock. So I go into my stepdad's tools in the back of his truck, and I get this little pick, and I start hammering open. And I cracked it open, and it was all crystallized on the inside. And at the time, I thought, oh man, I found a bunch of diamonds or something, So I thought it was like oh yeah, heck yeah, And like I said, my mom, when she got with my stepdad, they didn't have a lot of money, so they struggled, for a long time, and now as they're getting into retirement, they're not that way anymore. But I thought, yeah, this will help pay some bills or something. And it was just crystals, bro. It's like not worth anything. But as far as the actual geode, it's the one that I found, not anywhere near where it's at. I found it maybe 2019. I don't know. Yeah, somewhere around there. But I will tell you that, again, if you go into a mall and you see me and you see 1,000 other people, who are you going to notice? So, Fallen Star, just jumping in. Is everything on pause until we finish the movie thing? No. So the website's already changed. Again, Falling Star, I try to make this all random. I'm using randomizers to make it kind of random. Again, I do have some control over it, just because I have to make sure that it handshakes and actually transitions without glitch. I mean, I've had a couple of glitches, and I've had to fix that on the back end. But no, the movie quest is just, it could have launched, day 30. It launched like day 9 or something. I don't know. And then the next side quest will launch, within, I don't know, within the next 70 something days. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know how much time's left on the timer since the movie quest dropped, because it has 90 days to drop. Sometime randomly, and then I'll get an email from the agent and let me know, hey, this is going to happen 24 hours, because that's how I have it set up. And then so no, it's not. It's definitely still moving forward. And then, okay, Carter, I think answered that. And then, I'll save the rest of this for next week. There is one that I will answer. Trezor Girl 19. Next week, Friday, because I was gone out of town. What happened with the Jesus Ride? So she's discovered that we had an organization called the Jesus Ride. So actually, after that carnal time there with the trailer, I actually got saved at a revival via an evangelist named Bill Britt. Really helped me realize that I needed grace, and I'm definitely not a perfect person. I'm, again, never going to try to act like I'm a perfect person because I think that's a fool's errand. But in public places, we're always going to be on our best behavior because that's what you should do. You're in a public space, you should be your best person, yeah, so the Jesus Ride, we started as a way to use music to, so I had this little car. So that's a funny story. So I had this little car, and I got saved, and I had this little car, and we spray painted it, right? Like all kinds of little messages. And I was working at a lumber company at the time, and we parked it, at the road, so to have a message. And, yeah, so I actually ended up driving that car for a little bit. It was kind of funny when I had a situation with a truck. And so, yeah, that's definitely a part of my history, the Jesus Ride. And so we just started an organization. We called it that. And big part of what we were trying to do is we gave away Bibles. I was working at a CC's, as a part-time manager. Took over a corner of that restaurant, and we turned it into the Jesus Ride corner, and we gave away free NIV Bibles to people to take from the wall, and then it really just morphed into promoting shows, concerts, and stuff. And from there, I had an opportunity to start doing concerts in Dallas, Oklahoma City, and Tyler on my own, as the quote-unquote promotion arm of the organization. And, the other guys, at that time in their life, they had families. I didn't necessarily have a family just yet. I met my first wife during that time at CC's, and we had our child, Jotham. We got divorced like 10 years after that, and then I met Elizabeth like 6 months later. Elizabeth and this will be our 12th Thanksgiving together. We did end up getting Jotham. We found it best between, her and I that, boy needs his dad. And, that's what's been going on. The boy still lives with us while he's going to college. But yeah, so the reality of it is that, she doesn't have anything to do with any of this, but it just was a part of that time in my life. And started promoting a bunch of shows there, in bigger cities, and wasn't doing as much in Paris. And the other guys just kind of didn't want to maintain the Jesus Ride in a sense. So yeah, we just kind of dissolved it. But definitely was a good time with those guys, and we saw a lot of people have their lives changed. We were able to impact a lot of folks in the community and the surrounding areas, and really encourage, like I was saying earlier, youth ministers to, be focused on their youth and, not allow their, youth groups to be breeding grounds for bullying and stuff. Like, I think that's a message that should still be echoed even today. So, and then Dukes of Hazzard asked, do I park my smart car on gravel, asphalt, or grass? I just can't answer that one, Dukes, because, it'll give too much away. And Trezor also asked, what is Paris? What is Paris is ready, set, go? Well, referring to, Trezor Gal, that's for you to figure out. And for others to help you figure out. So, anyways, I think it's going good, guys. I really appreciate y'all's time, and, I'll be on Discord maybe later. I do have some work I really got to get caught up on. I've stayed up way late, way too many nights in a row. I am tired, so if I'm like a little draggy today, sorry. But I definitely want to tell you all thank you. I'm having a lot of fun with this hunt. I hope others are as well. I will remind everyone that what Candy, Indy, whatever her name is, on Discord is doing is completely separate from me. That's her whole deal. I just wanted to try to bless her. She has a newborn baby, and also figure out a way to give something to someone who's going to the Trezor Con to help, Mike and Christy with that deal. So I definitely encourage everybody who's discovering this channel to go look up cow lasers and treasure hunt with us and mysterious writings and Ben's channel, the Adventure Warriors, because it's all good content. You even go look at the old AGK stuff if it's still up. I do miss those guys. You're talking about Toby and Shelly. Actually, they were the first ones that I started watching whenever I was, trying to take up my time with Forest Fin lectures. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you on Friday. Sorry that this took so long to get to. Just was having fun with my friends, and I'll reiterate that none of my friends know where it's at. My wife doesn't know where it's at. My son doesn't know where it's at. My ex-wife doesn't know where it's at. My best friends don't know where it's at. It's not on any of my land. It's not on any land that's associated with any business that we have have had. It is in a public place. Okay? So if you want to spin your wheels, trying to figure out what parcels we own, I guess have at it. It's a waste of time, but you can do what you want to do. So I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you next week, or Friday. See you Friday.